Morning, Jill. How are we doing?
I am great, thank you. And you?
Good. Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. We are popping on today, for anybody wondering what this video is about, because we don't do videos together very often, but Jill has got a fantastic video out on her YouTube channel, and it just prompted me to have a quick chat about it because it's all about emotional eating. And that's something that any of you who've worked with me for any amount of time, you'll know that it's been a struggle for me. And so I'm really passionate about it, and I would love to know more about it. I'm going to go and snaffle the video in a minute when we've done this. But yeah, so Jill, tell us what it's about. Like, what's driven you to do this?
It's also really close to my heart, Emma, but everybody might not. I was a real chronic emotional eater and binge eater in my youth. So when I was age 20, I was 20 stone, which is 280 pounds. And so in moving out of emotional eating, that was actually the biggest thing that created the weight loss for me. Because let's face it, we all know
Yeah.
what we should and shouldn't eat, what's healthy, what's not healthy. But that logic, it doesn't stop us emotional eating.
Yeah.
And so we need to approach it from a different point of view. And so where I come at it is really informed by my own journey and then finely tuned with clients. I think so often we put so much shame and guilt on ourselves
Mm.
because we've not managed to stay on a healthy eating plan.
Yeah.
And unless we deal with the emotions that drive the emotional eating, we're not going to manage to stay on a healthy eating plan
Mm.
because that need for, be it soothing or that need for regulating. So a lot of clients I work with and for myself was about regulating that nervous system, calming myself down because I just didn't have many coping strategies to do it. And actually my main coping strategy for dealing with anxiety was eating.
Got you. Yeah.
And I was so good at it that I wasn't even aware I was anxious. And what can happen for people is that when we stop using food to cope with emotions, so
Mm.
maybe it's about suppressing anger. So instead of going to someone and saying, that wasn't okay,
Yeah.
I was really not happy when you said X, then eating to suppress it down. And interestingly, often people to do it for to suppress anger, often people select crunchy foods. And
Really?
if you think about it, that crunch
Yeah.
is almost releasing that energy. Um,
Wow, I'd never made that connection before, but now you say that actually, they say that dogs chew things to release serotonin. So I get that completely actually, and it's really interesting you say that because I can pinpoint times when I've mowed down like a tube of Pringles like that because I was annoyed about something. Yeah, that's really interesting.
it is, and I think with that you're talking about Pringles. There's two aspects to it because there are many foods like Pringles that are specifically designed so we find it really hard to stop eating.
Mm.
And because we're getting such pleasure, not just in the taste and not just it hits the mark of soothing us, but actually neurologically our brain is like lighting up.
Yeah,
And so that then drives the keeping going.
got
Have
you.
you ever like kept going with something and been like, I'm not enjoying this anymore?
Yep.
That's why that happens. But I think because so much guilt can be taken on, we can feel faulty. We can be very mean to ourselves and say, oh, I've got no willpower.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just useless. I'm just weak. When actually the problem is that we often come at the emotional eating problem from the wrong angle. It's just stop eating so much. It's like, great, I'll do that then. Do you know, if we could do that, we would have done it. Or just stop eating so often. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It doesn't work because actually the primary problem is not the food
Got you.
or the snack. It's actually a secondary problem.
Yeah.
The primary problem is whatever we were trying to soothe, regulate, numb. So for me in the past, I was somebody where anger didn't feel okay.
Got you.
So I didn't express anger,
Mm.
but and what I would do is very quickly I'd be eating. And in my head, here's the wiring. In my head, because anger wasn't safe, it would then convert to, oh, I'm really hungry.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's huge, isn't it? I bet there's loads of people watching this now going, oh my God, that's me. I say this from a personal perspective as well, because I've been overweight since I was, I don't know, 8 or 9, because of a lot of stuff that happened there. And it's, you don't necessarily, that's something I would never have put two and two together about. So it's really interesting, all that. And I guess without giving away the farm of the
Mhm.
beautiful video that you've created,
Yeah.
like, what do people, so there's a video you've done, haven't you, on YouTube, and you've got a
Yeah.
resource, haven't you, for people, I believe, now as well.
Yep, I do. I've got a
That's
little
amazing.
workbook.
Jill's workbooks are legendary, by the way. She
Thank
put
you
our
so much.
courses together and they are amazing. So,
Oh, and there's a wee bit information about me,
yeah.
but there's also two of the exercises that I use most with my clients, and there's one that's about identifying your feelings, because so often we can maybe be feeling off. Have you
Yeah.
ever felt a bit like blah,
Yeah.
or a bit like ratty, but you're not sure why? And sometimes it can be really hard for us to.
Perimenopause. Yes, frequently. Yeah.
Yeah, everything gets amplified then, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
And it can be hard to articulate it. And particularly if you're somebody like I was, who's not, didn't feel anger was safe, or a people pleaser, because
Yeah.
obviously being angry at someone is not pleasing them.
Yeah.
In order to maintain that, to please people, so I felt okay,
Oh gosh.
I would then eat to suppress the anger for a while. Yeah.
So far reaching, isn't it? And I honestly don't believe that a lot of, I would say a massive percentage of the general population wouldn't know about this, because you don't know what you don't know, do you? I might be wrong. I certainly didn't know that. And I've been in the self-help industry and stuff like that for donkey's years. And until working with you in the last couple of years, I didn't realize how intricately all this was connected. It's never just one thing, is it? And it's never just one outcome. There's like a domino effect, and there's like threads everywhere. So I think meeting you was a real big thing for me, because it helped me understand that I'm not doing something wrong in this, that I'm not crap, that I'm not. That's, if you're talking about tapping, that's the outer casing of, why can't I get my shit together? What's wrong with me? Blah, 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 blah. All the vile things we say to each other because we can't make this okay. It's a lot further reaching than you think it is.
Yeah, I think that is so true. I think we look at it from a surface level, and as you say, we pile on loads of judgments on ourselves. When actually, and it's something I say in the video, you're not broken, you're not bad. It's like this has been a coping mechanism that you've needed in order to survive. It's helped you function. That's all it is. And so it's about finding the very root cause. Like for me, never being angry. I was always happy, always affable. But inside, I didn't feel that way. And so then I ate in order to suppress it. But the video actually takes you through 6 steps to stopping emotional eating. Now, it's only
Fabulous.
25, 22 minutes, obviously, so you can only do so much in that.
Yeah.
But it's really bringing up, it's about connecting with what's happening inside.
Yeah.
Because unless we know it, we can't deal with it.
So true.
And so it's dealing with the primary problem. And when we deal with that primary problem, the need for food starts to dissipate and dissipate as a soothing. And so the secondary problem actually starts to dissolve gradually. And when I work one-to-one with people, I will also bring in lots of practical tools that were the things that help me change that pattern with food, change that relationship with food. So it's healing that relationship with food. Food is not the enemy, it's not a friend. It's maybe protein or fat or
Yeah.
flour or sugar or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think so often we mix up the signals around physical hunger and emotional hunger. So the example I gave you earlier about being angry, not expressing it, like what do you do with this anger that you can't express?
Yeah.
Eat. So the wiring in my head went straight to, "Oh, I'm starving."
That's just literally blown my noggin. I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
heard that before.
And
Wow.
so that's not physical hunger. But
Wow.
often for us emotional eaters, the physical hunger and the emotional hunger are all one. They're indistinguishable for us.
And that's what makes it a nightmare, isn't it? A quagmire, because if you can't distinguish it, how do you know?
Yeah.
And how can you put it right? I'll say fix it because you're not broken. But gosh,
Yeah.
that's
How
huge.
can you help to is so almost it's actually being able to, when I work with people through different exercises, it's being able to untangle those so they're separate. I'm physically hungry, you know, that hollow feeling in your tummy. My tummy's rumbling. An emotional feeling. I'm feeling angry and I'm so uncomfortable that I'm angry. I don't know what to do with my anger. That person never listens to me anymore. What am I going to do? That's an emotional hunger.
That's so powerful because, like anything, when you've got those markers in the sand, if you like, oh,
Mhm.
that's that thing. Oh, actually, that's not that, this. That's an informed decision, then, isn't it? And if you still want to go ahead and have half a cheesecake, go and
Yeah,
do it. But at the end of the day, if you can tell them apart,
yeah,
you can make a decision. And gradually, I would imagine, then becomes easier to make those decisions, let alone if you add in the amazing tools that Jill works with and maybe even a bit of tapping. Watch this space, folks. That might be coming up at some point in the future.
absolutely.
But I can't imagine how powerful that I can because it's happened for me. But for somebody who doesn't know anything about this and is wondering why they can't stop the cycle and constantly beating themselves up,
Yeah.
this training, this video that Jill's done, and whatever other resources are available, is going to be a game changer for you because I've just learned something new about the anger thing. But everything Jill's taught me in the last couple of years has just blown my mind. And as a lifelong emotional eater,
Hmm.
I can't impress upon you like how much relief that gives me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? My cravings have all but gone away.
you've done amazingly, Emily. Hmm.
And I used to incessantly be at the biscuit jar and then have cake and a 100-gram bar of chocolate or two in a day,
Hmm.
several times a week
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of that, because I was in an anxious relationship and all of that. And didn't I didn't realize that's what it was. And I think the power is then coming back to yourself and having that knowledge.
Hmm.
This sounds like a really potent video and resources that you've got. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I showed just really 6 steps that were the sort of key aspects of stop eating, and part of that is stopping the blame, the shame cycle,
Yeah.
because it's there for a reason. When I hear stories of emotional eaters like you just were talking about yours, and obviously I know you quite well now, or I think of my own or my clients, it all makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It's like an equation. 2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7. It's, yeah, that makes total sense. So here's why you're emotionally. Sure, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
obvious that's what was going to happen. And if we think even about as adults, if we're having a bad day, we might say, I'm going to go off for a walk. Someone might go to the pub.
Yeah.
Someone might go to the gym. Someone might be like, I'm going to lie in the bath. I'm going to have candles and bubble bath. And, yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
And but if when you're a child, you don't have those options or that power. You
Yeah.
can't say, Mom, I've just had a tantrum, and now I'm just going to go next door and I'm going to do a guided visualization. You don't have that at 2 or 3
To have
years.
had that level of insight at that age. But
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. I know it'd be a bit bizarre, quite frankly. So what is in your environment that
Yeah.
makes you feel better, that's within your power? It's as easy, as simple as that. That is how it happens.
Wow.
And it's just we just needed to learn different ways to soothe ourselves. And maybe for others, a bit like me, the messages we get in our family. Maybe I'm only loved if I'm really perfect, if I do really well at school.
Hmm.
I'm never bad. And so if that's the case, a person may well grow up into adulthood trying to be perfect all the time. My God, that's stressful. So what do you do with that stress of, I don't know, you have a report to do for your boss, you rewrite it 24 times, and then you send it to your boss, and you're like, oh, I could have done this or I could have done that. Oh, it's not going to be good enough. My boss knows what I'm really like.
Mm.
I'll be fired. The stress of that. So what do you then do with that?
Eat
You go
cheesecake.
to Starbucks and you get a caramel latte and a muffin. And once we take the judgment and out of it and just see it as almost a bit like a pattern. And it's, oh yeah, that will follow to that, that will follow to that.
Yeah.
Then we can start to really work with it.
It's really powerful what you've just given us. I'm seeing it like a mathematical thing. 2 + 3 is 5.
Yeah.
Add this in, add two in, it becomes 7. It's a given. And when you think about it like that, it just takes the emotion out of it, doesn't it? But there can be all of that people pleasing, having to be perfect, negative aspects of it. But in my situation was there was some of that stress, but there was also when you said, look around your environment, what is there that makes you feel better? If part of that is linked to somebody who you love deeply and you're sharing something as well that makes you feel better, that connects you to that person, what have you got? You've got a recipe for having that probably for the rest of your life, unless you stop it. Like my dad used to get a bag of sweets, and I used to sit in his den on the couch and we used to watch films on a Sunday and have a bag of sweets between us. So that was not just the sweets, it was the
Oh,
connection. And there
yeah.
was my grandma. She made cake, she made scones, and she made all these things that were so lovely. And she died when I was quite young. And so to me, stodgy stuff, sugar, flour, cake, all of that, it's the comfort, it's the love from grandma. So of course you're going to want more of that. So it's really nuanced, isn't it?
It
Where
is. It's a great point, Emma, and it is, and I think, and I would check it out with you. What you're describing is the meaning given to the scones, the meaning given to the cakes, the meaning given to the bag of sweets. Actually, that was about being with your dad and relaxing, a thing you guys did together.
yeah.
So it may well be if you always had sherbet lemons on a Sunday afternoon.
Mhm.
I
Just made my mouth water then.
Yeah, I bet when you taste the sherbet lemon, there will be something of an echo of that.
Yeah.
And what makes it tricky. That's why it needs some careful handling as well. It's about the meaning that something has for us. For example, if you love cheesecake and you have it one day when you're out and you have food poisoning, actually you'll probably give a different meaning to cheesecake then. It
Yeah.
will be like, oh, here's cheesecake, your favorite, and you'll be like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't think I want it anymore. So
That
maybe
happened to me with Bacardi when I was a teenager. I'm not going to lie to you. When you start dabbling
Garden.
as a teenager, and I had a few too many Bacardi and Cokes, and now I can't touch it because of that. Made me very poorly.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like that. Yeah.
No, that's just been fascinating. As always, talking to you, I'm getting downloads all the time and epiphanies here, there, and everywhere. But let people know, Jill, where they can find this training, this video, and any other resources that you want to give them access to. And then we'll drop it in the comments as well so that you can go and get yourself some relief from this.
Oh, thank you so much. So my channel is on YouTube is Jill Grace Nicholson, and my website is jillnicholsoncoaching.com.
Fab.
And on the YouTube video in the description, there is the link to the free worksheets within there. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to bring so much relief to so many people. Thanks for jumping on and chatting with me about it. I
Oh,
hope
I love it.
everybody can.
A, I love talking with you, and B, I love talking about emotional eating. If we can help three people,
Yeah,
um,
perfect
yeah,
Monday morning.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, go over and give Jill a squiz and a subscribe if you would. It would mean a lot to both of us. And I hope that you love the training. I'm going to go and look at it now. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I already know the inside track with Jill, so I know it will be. Whatever you're doing today, have a wonderful day and we'll see you again soon. Take
Yeah.
care.
Here, bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.